Dreaming of a Manchester United victory, but even he admitted he could not have imagined it shaping up the way that it did. It was an incredible performance from United, John. Was this more than simply the new manager bounce for you?
Yeah, I think it was. It brought with it a new energy. I love the energy from the supporters within Old Trafford. You could feel the kind of the atmosphere and the noise and the energy resonating from your TV if you were watching it yesterday, because they were just empowered, I think, by the performance that United put on. I thought they were full of different ideas. Yes, there's a freshness about Carrick, and also his coaching staff, Steve Holland, who I think was a really inspired choice as his coach. And I just think that there's a willingness there to succeed. He's his favourite old son, isn't he, Michael Carrick, of a brilliant era when they were so successful and they won the biggest and best trophies. And so I think that they're always going to be enthused by that. And I don't know that it could have gone any better for Michael Carrick. Maybe if one of the 3 goals that were ruled out for offside after VAR checks had gone in, then maybe. But what a scoreline, what a performance. It was absolutely a brilliant, all-encompassing, fantastic, energetic display, full of energy. It did make me laugh, and sort of kind of COCOM's Gary Neville was sort of saying, let's not get carried away, let's not get giddy. Well, let's get giddy, because it was brilliant. He's right. He's right, of course. They're basically saying that, let's not carry it away. You can't give him the job. I know it was a sort of a big discussion point in the studio, wasn't it? But I just thought, yeah, let's enjoy the moment. And that's what United fans, I think, feasted on. They haven't had much to shout about. Every big decision, every big call, like, for example, Diogo, who's been great lately, in fairness to him. But Diogo rather than Cunha, for example, Emery would get killed for that, but it came off for Carrick, and that's the difference, and that's what a new energy, a new belief, and something new for the players to feast on. And to a man, I must say, the United team was absolutely magnificent.
The Carrick for the permanent job wasn't just discussed in the studio. I know people are kind of chuckling, Jack, but if I can just direct you to Martin Samuel's piece in the Sunday Times. He says, so carry on like this, and why can't it be Carrick who takes Manchester United forward long term? Not just until the end of the season, but beyond. If Carrick returns the club to the Champions League, and they were top 4 when the final whistle blew, of course, Liverpool's draw took them above them again, and he continues extracting performances like this, why shouldn't he be given a significant opportunity? So Carrick did change something about the place. He harnessed its energy, harnessed his history, harnessed how the club once faced the world, and that has to mean something. Unless they are all just wasting this man's time, it should count for rather a lot. Can he make a big case to take this job on a full-time basis?
I think he's already made a big case. I think that yesterday was probably United's best performance, probably their best performance for years, probably their best result since they beat Manchester City in the 2024 FA Cup final. To really wipe the floor with City like they did, I don't think 2-0 really does them any justice, given the disallowed goals, given the other chances they missed, the times they hit the woodwork. It was such an impressive performance, and one that will really resonate with the expectations that Manchester United fans have. I think that if they can come anywhere close to replicating that over the final, the final section of this Premier League season, and they can finish well and maybe finish in the Champions League places, I think that it would make perfect sense to give him the job. I don't think fans would necessarily want to go back to the drawing board, getting in another, high-profile manager, probably from a different league, who might have a very good CV, but doesn't have that same connection, that same understanding of the club that Carrick clearly has.
The difficult thing, I think, is if they're going to, it depends whether they want to go for that big-ticket manager, doesn't it? If they're going to go for a Tuchel, someone of that ilk, maybe wait until after the World Cup, that's a bit different. If they're going to go and pick a manager from overseas that's done well, or a Fabian Hertz, not him specifically, but someone like that, you may as well stick with Carrick as long as he has the strong end to the season, I think. Because if you're going to go and get someone that is on the up and you want to develop, why not take the man you've already got there? But the other side of it is that we've had a week, 10 days since Emery was sacked of, well, even longer than that, of, the club's a mess behind the scenes. Do these people know what they're doing? Jason Wilcox, Omar Barada, can they be trusted to run the club properly? One win, great day, great win. Like Crossy said, live in the moment and enjoy that day. Does that change everything behind the scenes? Does that fix all the problems that are there? Can Carrick deal with that going forward? That's the bigger thing. The bigger picture is that a lot of resetting still needs to be done at Old Trafford.
Just picking up on that, Jack, Rory Smith in The Observer says Manchester United know more than most that things that are bad for you are sometimes the things that make you feel good. They know that they have made the mistake before, allowing the heart to overrule the head, overlooking the rational in favour of the romantic. Because the narrative has been you can't give Carrick the full-time job, just let him go till the end of the season, because he's almost paying for the fact that they gave Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the job. Do United need to be a little bit careful here? Because if he does do really well, and he is indeed the man for the job, there is that danger that they might not give it to him simply because of what has happened in the past with Ole.
They just need to take it on the evidence, don't they? There's a lot of things that have gone very wrong in the past at Man United, and they never really seem to learn from them. They've made the same mistakes in terms of appointments, giving the power to the manager and giving them the players that they need. They did it with Ten Hag. They were going to sack him, interviewed a load of people. He won the cup. They couldn't really find the right person. Not only did they keep Ten Hag, but they gave him so much money and power in that window. Those are the mistakes that were made then that they need to learn from. I don't think Ole's the big one that's going to be hanging over this, really. It needs to be taken on what Carrick can do. He's got a lot of free weeks. There's no Europe. They're not in the cups. He's got plenty of time to work with this squad. If the players buy into it, and he can show some performances like yesterday, nothing's going to hit the peak of yesterday, really, unless they go to Arsenal and blow the doors off them away from home, which no one's really expecting. If he can put some evidence together, then that's what they need to focus on. The feedback from the squad, the players, he's already got better performances out of them very quickly. And like John said, Steve Holland's a fantastic appointment as well. If you can get a coaching staff that this squad believe in and the fans can connect with, that's what they need to base their decision off.
I think it's really important that Manchester United don't learn the wrong lessons from the appointment of Solskjaer. Solskjaer did pretty well. They came second under Solskjaer, they reached cup finals, they reached semi-finals. And Solskjaer had a way of playing which I think connected really well with the players they had and with the fans. The problem that Solskjaer had was they bought him Cristiano Ronaldo in 2021, which completely destroyed his ability to play the sort of football that he wanted to play, the sort of football that he was actually really good at coaching the team to do. And it's very easy now for people to say, they should never have appointed Solskjaer in the first place. They were actually doing fine under Solskjaer until they bought Ronaldo. So I think that's the lesson that they have to take if they're thinking about Michael Carrick. It's not necessarily wrong to give the job to a Manchester United club legend rather than a big ticket manager who's won lots of stuff in other countries. The issue is if you're going to give the job to a club legend under those circumstances, you have to allow him to play the football he wants to play, and you can't go and impose bad signings like Ronaldo on him.
I would love to see Michael Carrick get the job, but I think it would be, as we sit here now, it would be completely the wrong choice. I think we would go into this cycle again, this perpetuating ridiculous soap opera that is Manchester United, of going on the basis of 15 games. Honestly, it's crazy. I completely do agree with Gary Neville in saying that basically you don't get carried away. It's one game, and it does feel to me as if we've got shades of Ole at the wheel here, and basically former players getting on the bandwagon saying I'll give it to Carrick. Listen, he might convince quite a few people differently over the next few months, and all of a sudden, as I say, I do think that bringing in Holland was a masterstroke, because you've got absolute gravitas in a stellar coaching appointment. So we're not talking just someone here then without too much backing up or too much experience, should I say. But honestly, I just feel that doing it would be, as I say, he might change our opinions. He might go on getting an incredible energy, which would be undeniable. But I honestly, I would take some convincing on that, because if you then compare, say, for example, Thomas Tuchel, who I think is the outstanding choice, the outstanding candidate. I get it's terrible timing because of England and the World Cup. But when you have a manager like that, who wins Champions Leagues, is all-encompassing, would bring an energy, would bring a style. Yes, he would bring a performance level that United fans and brand of football that United fans would buy into. I'm sorry, but you are talking about two totally different aspects there. Total respect for Carrick. I think he's done really well, learned his trade, is improving all the time. Shrewd appointment in Holland, but compare that to Thomas Tuchel. I'm sorry, but they just don't compare. United aspire to be the biggest club in the world. I applaud Barcelona for giving us Pep Guardiola, the best manager of his generation, where he was effectively reserve team manager, and just look how that's gone. So there's a big case for that. Please don't get me wrong. But at this point in time, there's so much behind the scenes at United that you need a massively strong figurehead, an experienced figurehead to bring them back. They are a very capable squad, as we saw yesterday, of pushing on. They should be nowhere near mid-table. They should be pushing on. And I think that going down the romantic former player route